Hey, it's Ruby. Welcome back to my channel and to the October wrap up. I read 12 books in the month of October, which tracks. I tend to read 10 to 12 books. So an average reading month, I don't actually have like my average star rating and all that because I didn't finish my stats page because I'm not done with the last book, but I have very little to go, so I know that I'm gonna finish it in like an hour. Let's go through all the books that I read. I have my reading journal because I don't own all the books that I read. Some of them I read through Libby, Spotify, Kindle Unlimited. So let's start off with the one that I'm in the middle of right now. Not in the middle of, I'm practically done with it. So we have, how much left? A ton of this at the end is just bonus stuff. All I have left is this little bit. So I'm gonna finish it pretty soon. But that is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. It's been okay so far. I haven't loved it, but I'm hoping that book 2 and 3 they're just gonna get better as we go. This very much felt like an introductory book. I haven't read the end though, so it could blow my mind, but as of now, it just feels like an introduction to the world and the characters. In this, we follow Tessa, Will, and Jem. Tessa finds out at the beginning of the book that she's a downworlder, which is a being with supernatural or magical abilities that are not shadow hunters. Shadow hunters are people that have angel blood in them. Everybody else that has magic or supernatural abilities is considered a downworlder. So think witches, warlocks, vampires, werewolves, fairies, all of those people are downworlders. And she finds out she's one. She did not know. She thought she was a normal human girl, but she finds out she's not. She ends up trying to find her brother who is missing. She gets caught up with the shadow hunters, and so she's staying at their institute in London. This is set in like the 1800s, so it's like the Victorian era. It was good. I'm not done with it, but I'll put the final rating, of course, because why not? But yeah, let's keep going. I don't have much to say about that because, like I said, I'm not done with it yet. So I started off the month with Ready or Not by Cara Bastone because I had read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young and I was so obsessed with it. It was so good. 5 stars for that one of my favorite books ever. Now I love it, but I wanted more. I just wanted more, and I was like, what is like that? And this one came up, Ready or Not by Cara Bastone, and I have got to say it was also really, really good, but I didn't love it the way that I loved Out on a Limb. That being said, I still gave it 4.5 stars, so a solid read. But in this, we still have the surprise pregnancy trope. It says a surprise pregnancy leads to even more life-changing revelations in this heartfelt, slow-burn, friends to lovers romance. And I honestly think that all of that, facts. They're all facts. Unlike Out on a Limb, which I felt like very much focused just on the main characters, this one has more than just the FMC and the MMC. So we have Eve, the girl that ends up pregnant, and then we have her baby daddy, essentially Ethan, and then we have her best friend Willa and her brother, Willa's brother, Shep. The MMC in this, just what a man. The most golden retriever, adorable, most loyal man ever. Oh my goodness, he was amazing. And honestly, he's the reason I gave this 4.5 stars because Eve kind of annoyed me a little bit at the end. Not too much, but I was like, oh, come on, Eve. But the MMC, the way that he was always there for her from the beginning, I could never be. The way that he's just looking in and he's like, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Because I just care about you so much. Swoon. So good. 4.5 stars. Definitely check it out if you haven't. And Out on a Limb. Do it. But let's see. Where do we go to next? Oh yeah. Bookshelf Ultimatum books. So I did post Bookshelf Ultimatum number 3. I'm starting number 4 literally next week, but I posted number 3 and I did read 2 books in October for that video. The first one was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, a historical fiction book. If you watch that video, then you know that I just didn't end up loving it and I unhauled it, which is why I don't have it. I had the physical book, I read it physically, but I just didn't love it. I ended up giving it 3 stars, but I don't think it was bad. I just think that really, like I told you in the video, historical fiction's not for me. And I've learned that, and I can now move on and move past it and never have to read historical fiction again, because I just don't like it. So in that, we follow 2 sisters. We follow, what are their names? Vianne and Sophie. And this takes place during World War II. So we follow them as they essentially just try and survive World War II. But they're very different. Vianne is very reserved and a rule follower. She's like very much the type to keep her head down because she has a daughter. And she's like, I need to keep her safe. Like, my priority is my daughter. And I said Vianne and Sophie, right? But I think I'm wrong. I think Sophie's a daughter, right? Yeah, Sophie's the daughter. Isabel is the sister. My bad. So that's Vianne. Isabel is very rebellious. She's the younger sister. She is so rebellious, so angry. She very much wants to be a part of the world. She wants to do her part to defend her country, because she's like, this is bullshit. Like the Nazis, you know, she just has so many like strong opinions, and she's not the type to just sit back. She's been kicked out of so many schools because she's a little menace. But yeah, you can imagine that these 2 very different people have 2 very different experiences during the war and get through it very differently. And it was very touching and moving and heartfelt and heartbreaking. Unfortunately, I'm not a very empathetic person. I've said it before. I just am not with fictional characters. And so I didn't connect with them. I didn't care about them. I didn't care if they survived or they lived or what happened to them. So that also didn't help the reading experience. But that's a very much me thing. You know, everybody says that they cried in this, that they were so touched by this and impacted by it. So most people react very differently than I did. So just keep that in mind, that my experience is not, you know, the norm. So yeah, 3 stars for that one. And then following that, we have Harrow the Ninth. This was my fantasy sci-fi pick for Bookshelf Ultimatum, book 2 in the Locked Tomb series. It was so good. It was really good, but I will say this is not going to be for everyone. It was really confusing, so keep that in mind, that I just really don't think it'll be for everyone. So in this one, we follow Harrow. Book 1, we followed Gideon. And it's hard to talk about this without spoilers, but what I will say is that it was very confusing. This is in second POV. So it's very much saying like, you did this and you woke up and then you thought about this, like, you know, that vibe. So it did take a little bit to get into it, but by part 2, I felt like I got used to the second POV. Not my favorite POV, I will say that. Not my favorite, but it is what it is. And there are instances where it jumps out of second POV, I feel like, but very little. It's mostly in second POV. And what a ride, man. The whole way I was like, what is happening? Because you can't really trust what Harrow is being told, I guess, or thinking, because she has so many things going through her head of events that she's recalling from book 1 that we know didn't happen that way. Or so we're thinking like, is she hallucinating? Is she imagining things? Is she dreaming? Is she like lobotomized? Like, you just don't know what's happening until the end. And then you're like, what the fuck? And then it just all starts clicking and making sense, and you're like, whoa. And then you're still left a little confused about certain things because, you know, you're gonna find out in the next book. But what a ride, man. This was such a trippy ride. Necromancers, lesbian necromancers in space. It was good. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It wasn't like amazing, and didn't blow my mind. I do think I prefer Gideon the Ninth at this point, but Nona has potential, because if you've read this and you know how it ends, oof, I'm just thinking Nona's gonna be a fun time. But it was good. 4 stars for that one. Again, it's not gonna be for everyone. Let's move on to A Fakington Blood by Daniel L. Jensen. That was my next one. I listened to the audiobook of this because it came up on Libby, so I was like, why not? And I was very excited for this one. It's gorgeous. Look at it. Stunning. It's a duology. The second book is gonna come out early next year. I think by May it'll be out. So I was like, it has all the makings to be a great read. It is Norse mythology inspired, and I haven't really read anything with Norse mythology, so I was excited. And it was good. It was just good. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it was just good. In this we follow Feyre, the girl on the cover, and she's what you call a shield maiden. What's a shield maiden? Basically, she's just been blessed by a specific goddess, and that makes her the shield maiden, because this goddess doesn't just bless anybody. And this world, we do have like god blessed people, meaning they have some god or goddess blood in them that gives them special abilities that nobody else has. And so obviously these are very like revered people, beloved, feared, it depends. But yeah, we find out that she has goddess blood in her, and so that gives her abilities. In the beginning of the book, she's married to this really crap guy, just the worst, and he's like the leader of their village, but he just sucks, and she hates him. She despises being married to this dude, but she keeps her head down because what can she do? Can't really do much about it. The king, no, he's not even a king, he's a jarl. The jarl of like their territory comes to their village at the very beginning of the book and is like, you there, you're coming with me. And she ends up getting married to this jarl and going into this whole thing, man. This jarl's goal is to become the king of everyone. And obviously not everybody's happy about this, but he heard a prophecy once that the shield maiden was going to deliver him the kingdom and make him a king. And so he's kind of obsessed with her just because of the power that she can give him. And so we have people trying to kill her left and right to either use her for the same thing or just stop her from helping this guy become king because he super sucks. But yeah, it was good. It's romantasy, so she is into her husband's son. Yeah, her stepson. It sounds a little more cringy than what it is. It doesn't read like you're with the son, you know, because they're like the same age, but it was just okay. The way that it ends, like, it was predictable, very predictable. And the way that it ends, I was like, I mean, yeah, of course. But that being said, I still want to continue on. What did I give this one? I gave it 3.5 stars, and I think that's fair. It was a solid read. I will buy the second book and finish the duology. Solid, but not great. Let's speed this up because I always take forever. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This was my book club's first pick. It was so good. It was so fun. It was even more fun because I was actively reading it with the club, so that definitely contributed to me giving this 5 stars, because I think without book club I would have given it 4.5 stars, but with book club 5 stars. So I gave this 5 stars. It was just such a fun, fast-paced read, and I'm so ready for book 2, but it's not getting released till fall 2025 apparently, which damn, I have to wait a whole freaking year. But in this we follow Saris, and Saris is living just such a crap life. Really, truly, just the worst life. Her planet has 2 suns and it's all desert, essentially. There's a huge water scarcity because it's all desert. And her planet, the way that they live in there, they're like sectioned off into sectors, and hers is like the quarantine sector. It's very poor. She's just not living a good life. She has a brother, and that's it. And then kind of like a parental figure because her parents are dead. But this guy took her under her wing and showed her how to survive, essentially. At the beginning of the book, she ends up stealing from the queen's guards. She steals gold from them, and they come after her, and her little brother kind of gets in the middle of it. And so, yeah, unfortunate. But because of this, she's like, no, 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 it was me. I did it. She ends up getting arrested and taken to the queen, who is like, what's your deal? And she ends up being transported into the Fae realm, the Fae world. And it's literally another world entirety. It's not like another realm, like, or I don't know. It's like another planet, like, because they make it a point to say they only have one son, whereas Ceres's has two sons. But we all know how it goes. A shadow daddy, a shadow fae, ends up scooping her up and taking her with him, and she's now with all the fae, and she's obviously trying to deal with this. She didn't even know that fairies existed. She thought it was just stories, and so her mind is just blown. This guy is the worst. He is so rude. He is so mean to her, but she's drawn to him, as they always are. And I was drawn to him. Book club was drawn to him. Everybody was drawn to him. But it was really good. So fast paced. It was a little predictable, but then some things also got me. I was like, there was one reveal where I was like, okay, I saw that coming. But then there was another one that I was like, you're what? Who? What? And I didn't see that one coming. I will say my favorite character in this book is Carrion, and he's not one of the main characters. But I loved him. He was like the comedic relief. He was so funny, and I really, really liked him. So if you like the typical, like if you like ACOTAR, that type of story, you're gonna like this. If you didn't like that, you're not gonna like this. Because it very much reminded me, like was giving me those vibes where you have the mortal who is now in the fairy realm, and oh, what's gonna happen? Like, so predictable, but it was good. I ate it up and I liked it, and I'm not gonna apologize for it, because I know a lot of people like crap on these very predictable books, and yeah, I get it, but I still liked it. 5 stars for that one. And then we did the Spooky Reads vlog, which I'll link up in a card, but part of that was Bless Your Heart by Lindy Ryan. I was so excited for this, so hyped, and unfortunately I didn't end up loving it. I ended up giving this one 2 stars, which hurts me because I was so excited to read this. I put it off for spooky season and I didn't love it. I will say that it was unique though, and definitely, like, if you're into vampires, give it a shot, because this was like spooky horror mystery. If that sounds interesting to you, read it. But there are 10 POVs in this, and every chapter we're switching POVs, and that I liked. I feel like that was my favorite part of the book. I was like, that is so unique. It's also under 300 pages, so even if you don't love it, you didn't waste a lot of time on it. It was solid, but I just didn't, super love it. But yeah, we follow 4 generations of women. We have the great grandma, the grandma, the mom, and the daughter. And the daughter is in high school. The great grandma's like in her 80s. So they're all alive. It's not like we're jumping time periods. No, they're all alive and they're all together, and they own a funeral home, and they use this funeral home kind of as a front to take care of Strigoi, the vampires that plague their town. And their job is really interesting because they take the body, and in this world the Strigoi don't have to necessarily get bitten. They're described more as like ghouls, so like part vampire, part zombie. Some people just die and then they just wake up again. We don't know why. They don't know why, but it happens. And then there's the way, like getting bitten and all that. But it's really cool because they're receiving these bodies, so if the body reanimates, they just take care of it a second time. Bam. But in the beginning of the book, we realize that they have been missing some bodies, or like something's been happening, and so we're finding more deaths, more strigoi, and they don't know how this happened. And then we also have two other mysteries. Something's going on with the granddaughter Luna, and we're trying to figure that out. Also, they keep alluding to something's buried under Lenore's rose bush, and we're trying to figure out what that is. And so, yeah, it was okay. If you like vampires, it took place in Texas, which is why I picked it up. I feel like you can read this very quickly because it's under 300 pages and maybe like it. And then I moved on to the haunted house vibes pick, Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I was looking forward to this because I love this author, and I thought this was just okay. Like, it was good. I gave it 4 stars, but I feel like I definitely gave it 4 stars for the first half of the book because it was giving me those spooky Gothic horror vibes. The reveals, I was like kind of rolling my eyes at, but it was still good. I was just like, really? Okay. But the atmosphere, that was my favorite part of this. And this would follow Noemi, who is a socialite living in Mexico City. At the beginning of the book, her dad tells her that her cousin Catalina sent an alarming letter. She reads the letter and she's like, oh, that is alarming. Like, what's going on with her? She sounds crazy. And the dad's like, yeah, she does. I think maybe she's in trouble. Maybe her husband's like hitting her. I'm not sure. You're gonna go find out. And she's like, what? Why me? And he's like, blah, blah, blah. They make a deal and she's like, fine, I'll go. So she goes to this little town to check in on her cousin. And when she gets there, she realizes that something's going on for sure. The cousin is sounding crazy as hell. The family that lives there, they're like this white British family that moved to Mexico, and they are so weird, so creepy. They gave me the ick. All of them, all 4 of them, disgusting, and I loved that. They're just such weird ass people, and I love that. The house is also like, what's going on? Is it haunted? Is it not? Like, what? There's the vibes. The vibes were good. The characters were good. The storyline was my least favorite thing, but I still gave it 4 stars because of all the aforementioned thoughts. Check it out if that sounds interesting to you. And then I ended that reading vlog with Phantasma by Kaylee Smith because I thought this book was gonna win the poll for my book club, and it didn't, but I already had it, so I was like, let's just read it anyway because I wanted to have vampires, haunted house, and ghosts. And so in Phantasma, it says Phantasma only has 2 rules: stay alive and don't fall in love. Ooh. It was okay. I definitely had a good time. Not a great time, but I'm gonna be going on to book 2 because I think that one has potential to be even better than this one. So in this, we follow Ophelia and Genevieve. They're sisters. In the beginning of the book, their mom dies, and it doesn't even matter that their mom died. They're like, oh, mom's dead, bury, goodbye, move on. So then Genevieve ends up disappearing, and Ophelia can't find her. She's like, where the hell did this girl go? So she goes through her things, through her diary, and she finds all these like pamphlets and stuff of Phantasma, and she's like, she must be in Phantasma. That's the only explanation. She doesn't even know if she's there for sure, but she follows her to Phantasma. What is Phantasma? Phantasma is described as very Caraval-esque, and it is. If you like Caraval, somebody said it was like Caraval meets the Hunger Games or Caraval meets Throne of the Fallen, and I think it's more like Caraval meets Throne of the Fallen meets the Hunger Games. But Phantasma rolls into different cities, and it is essentially a tournament that you can enter that takes place in a haunted mansion. I mean, what a setting. And so you have to go through 9 trials. If you make it through all 9 trials, then you win Phantasma, and you get granted this grand prize by the head of Phantasma, right? And in this world, there are demons, devils, ghouls, ghosts. There's 4 different types of ghosts, which are ghouls, phantoms, apparitions, and poltergeists. And then what else? There's also mortal beings that have powers, like necromancers, specters. Why am I even trying to think of this? It's literally on the first page. I basically told you witches and seers. Yeah, wraiths. I miss wraiths. A ton of supernatural beings, and I love that part of it. And so our main girl, Ophelia, is a necromancer, and she enters because she thinks her sister's in there. She's forced to enter, essentially, to save her sister. She goes through the trials. The trials, though, I felt like weren't as high stakes as I wanted them, because they can tap out of the trials. They're not to the death like the Hunger Games. They can quit. And so I was like, ugh. And the trials just didn't seem very high stakes to me, so I didn't love that. There is the romance element, which, again, I didn't love the romance. Like, I didn't feel the connection so much. I did like him, but I didn't love him. I think I liked her more than I liked him, to be honest. But I just didn't fall in love with these characters. However, I feel like I can potentially fall in love with Genevieve, who's going to be the FMC of book 2. And in book 2, the MMC is going to be a wraith. He is literally a shadow daddy. He is a shadow wraith. Potential. And I think that this is called the Wicked Games series. So every book is still going to be a game, but different. Like book 2, the setting is Italy, I think. And it's literally like these like deadly games that are taking place in that house that she's in. Like they're plaguing a family or something like that. So I just think that that one has more potential. But I gave this one 4 stars. No, I didn't. Why did I put 4 stars? I think I meant to give this 4 stars, and then I ended up giving it 3.75 stars. So I have to correct that on my reading journal, because 3.75, almost 4, it was good. I'm going to go on to the next one. And then I read Legendborn because it was part of my October TBR. And wow, I have been putting this book off for so long. For so long. I've owned it for a long time. This is YA fantasy, and it follows Arthurian lore. So like King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. This is what it has essentially. But I have thoughts. So the first half of this book, I was bored. I wasn't like, let me DNF this bored, but I was like, can something happen? You know, but if you're a normal human being with feelings, then that might not happen to you, because what was happening is that we follow our main character right here. What's her name? Of course I would forget, even though I just read this book. Bree is 16 years old, and she's super smart. So she gets selected to be going to college. Essentially, instead of high school, she's taking classes in college, and they're still gonna count for high school because she's smart, she's gifted. Her best friend and her are selected, so they go. And so she's now at this college, but at the beginning of the book we find out that her mom, she just passed away. So the death of her mother is fresh, and she's not dealing with the grief in the healthiest of ways, which is understandable because she's 16. And no matter what age you are, if you lose your mother, you're gonna be devastated. So, you know, I get it. I just didn't care. And again, it's a me thing, not really empathizing with fictional characters, but she ends up going to therapy. Like, she's trying to work through it, right? But I just didn't care. However, the second part of this book, damn, it was good. It was so good. So Bree ends up starting to get her memories back, and she's like, wait, because we don't think she has amnesia or anything. She just starts getting flashes of memories that she didn't even know she had, and it leads her to believe that her mom didn't just die accidentally, that it was like murder. And so she ends up joining a secret society in this college because she thinks that they have the answers to what happened to her mom. And so she ends up in the Arthurian secret society. And wow, there are reveals. There is the setting, the crumbs of a potential love triangle in the future, because this didn't give love triangle. There was just one love interest in here. But when it ends, like, you know what's coming. You know book 2 is gonna be his turn. And Cell is my favorite character in this. So we learn about the 13 prominent families, the magic, the everything, right? It was just good. This is what YA should be. 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars just because I was so hyped for that second half, because I should not have given it 5 stars because I was bored for the first half, but I had to do it. 5 stars. I cannot wait to read book 2, and book 3 comes out next year. So it was good. And then the very last book that I read was just a surprise book. It came up off hold on Libby, Thorn Hedge by T. Kingfisher. I had never read a T. Kingfisher book, but this was such a little short novella. It was only 110 pages long. I listened to the audiobook, which was like 4 hours long. And it was good. I liked it. It was so solid for such a little short book. And this is like a Sleeping Beauty reimagining. There is a girl locked up in a tower waiting to be saved by a handsome prince, but there's a twist. Our main character's name is Toadline, and she is essentially a fairy. And Toadline is charged with literally guarding this princess, and you would think that she's guarding her like from somebody harming her, but no, she is guarding everybody else from this princess. And so this is a unique story because it literally says like sometimes the Sleeping Beauty is just like not what you think. So yeah, you read and you find out what's happening, how this girl turned out the way she did, what the deal is. And we do have a knight that goes to rescue her, but he meets Toadline first and he has a conversation with her and he listens to her and he's like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. And like I said, it was short and I liked it. I do think that it ended kind of bland, but it was 110 pages long. So what did we expect? But all around, a pretty good novella. The best novella I've ever read is Six Scorched Roses by Carissa Broadband. But this was good. It was solid, and I would definitely give T. Kingfisher another chance because it was a solid book. That being said, what did I rate it? Because it was a novella. I gave it 4 stars, which is fair, honestly, for the novella. Because it wasn't like earth-shattering or groundbreaking, but it was a solid 110 page book. And that is it. I know this is probably super long, but those are our 12 books for the month. For November, I have plans. It is my birthday month and I'm so excited about it. I love my birthday. I always get so excited, but I also plan to just have great reads. I'm trying to cram in some 5 stars in there and I hope that I get them. So let me know what you thought of any of these books if you've read them. As always, thanks for hanging out with me. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next week with another one. Bye.